Hello everyone and welcome back to the Undertale tutorial series in Scratch. Today we are going to be adding in collision detection into this game, and yeah, I'm sorry it's been so long since I last made a video, but we're just going to get into it right now. So first things first, you're going to want to go into Frisk or whatever and just go to data. We're going to be making some new variables, and the first one's going to be called left collision. And as you might have guessed, we're going to have a variable for each side of Frisk. So yeah, left, right, top, bottom, and these are going to be keeping track of whether the sensors are like colliding with the walls or not, and then we can use that to stop Frisk from going through walls, because right now he can just walk through everything and yeah, we don't really want that. So we're going to go into the left sensor, and we're just going to have an if and an else in here. And sensing, we're going to go touching, and if you remember, we made this sprite called Ruins1 background, which is this thing right here, which is kind of this sort of collision detection map sort of thing. So anywhere Frisk can walk, there's going to be transparent, just nothing there. So Frisk can walk around all through this area where there's nothing, but where there's black he can't walk. So yeah, so we're going to use that with the left sensor and all the sensors to work out if he's having a collision or not. So go into data, we're going to set, this is the left sensor, so we need the left collision. And we're just going to set that to 0, not for that one. Okay, we're going to set it to 1 for this one. So if it is touching the Ruins1 background, then we'll set it to 1, otherwise it'll be 0. So what that will achieve is that if we go to the left now, if he's colliding on the left, there'll be a left collision, and we'll use that to stop him from walking through walls. So yeah, you should have something like that. And then we're going to repeat that for all the other sensors. So you just want to duplicate this block and then move it into there. And then we'll just change it to right collision, because this is the right sensor. And top sensor. And yeah, and then bottom sensor. All right. Okay, and once we've done that, we can now test it out. So the left one works. This top one, I don't think will work very well. As you can see, we're having a top collision, but the left and right ones are getting triggered as well, which we don't really want. So we're gonna have to fix that in a minute. The bottom one works fine, and the right one works fine. Basically what we want to happen is only the one that that should be getting triggered is getting triggered. So right now there should only be a right collision. So we're going to need to fix this top collision. So what we can do is we can actually make these sensors visible again, because we actually set a ghost effect. So if you just set all the ghost effects back to 0 for right now, we can actually be able to see them while we're playing the game. Like that. Okay, so now we can see them. We can't see the top one though for some strange reason, so we're just going to looks and we'll make it go to front so we can see it. Okay, and yeah, so they're all following Frisk around, and we can instantly see what the problem is. The left and right sensors are too high, so we're going to need to move them down a little bit, or like cut the top of them off, or we could just move the top one up a bit. But I think what the easiest thing to do would be to go into the left and go to costumes, and what we're just going to do is zoom in a little bit, and we'll just get this tool and chop off the top a little bit, just make it a bit smaller, and we can just click on that to update it. And as you can see now, that should be a lot better now when we go to the top. Oh, actually it's still getting triggered. Okay, we could just move the whole thing down a little bit actually. We're playing the game at the same time, but okay. We're still kind of getting that little bug where Scratch. Oh yeah, that is a bit better. Okay, you're just gonna want to try and play around with it a little bit just to get it exactly right. We can just do that. Wait. Okay. That works quite well, I think. Yeah, and we'll just do the same one for the right one. So go into right, and we'll just move that down a bit as well. and chop off the top a bit. You're just going to want to edit your sensors just so... Oh, that's that's a bit low down. Okay, we'll move it up a little bit more. Okay, yeah, that should be good. All right. So now, as you can see, what we want to happen is only the one that should be getting triggered is getting triggered, if you see what I mean. So only one of them should be one at a time, if you see what I mean. Unless we're in a corner. If we're in a corner, then as you can see, the top and right get triggered, which is what we want. So that's good. That's working well now. So you're just going to want to try and edit your sensors a little bit. It is a bit annoying having to work with these costumes, but that's just kind of a limitation of Scratch, I guess. But anyway, so now we can hide the sensors again. We don't really... I suppose we could keep them visible for now, actually. So what we're going to want to do is if we go back into Frisk, you can see what we're doing right now is when we click each arrow, we're just changing scroll X by speed, or speed times -1, or scroll Y. And what we're just going to want to do is put in a simple if statement to just only do that if there isn't a collision. So for the left arrow, we're going to need, you just put a little if statement right around the change scroll X, and we're going to get an operator and the equals one, and we're going to need data. And since this is the left arrow, we're going to need the left collision. So put that in there. And we're only going to want to move it if the left collision is 0, because that means that there's no collision, so he will be able to move. So now when we click the green flag, if he goes into a wall, he will stop, which is exactly what we want, which is great. Now if you go into a wall like this and the other collisions are getting triggered, then you're going to need to edit your sensors again, just to make them, like, I don't know, make the top and bottom ones like a little bit thinner or something, just to make sure only one is getting triggered at a time. So yeah, and so now what we're going to need to do is if you duplicate this little bit, take this over here, and we'll just remove that, and we'll also remove that. And then we'll just duplicate that and put that around the right one. So right around the change scroll X bit in the right arrow. And then we'll put right collision. And now that should stop him from going through right rules. Yep, which is good. And we are going to need to actually... I'm just thinking about whether we should change the costume or not to make him stand still while he's trying to go into the wall. But that's probably fine. You can change that if you want, but okay, that's fine. So we'll duplicate that. Also put that around change scroll Y. And this is the up arrow, so we're going to need the top collision, which is this one right here. Put that in there. And we'll just do the last one for the down arrow, which is bottom. So there we go. And now he should have collision detection. Oh. As you can see, the bottom one is not working very well, so we're going to have to edit that one. That seems to be the only one that's messing up though. Yeah, which is great. So, yeah, we're going to need to change the bottom one a little bit. What we can do is just cut off the bottom of the left and right ones just a little bit. I know they're getting pretty thin, but it doesn't really matter. Or, yeah, that should take care of that one, and then we just need to do the right one. Alright. See how that works. Yeah, that's working well. So you just want to get it so Frisk doesn't walk through anything, and also so he doesn't get stuck. So only one collision gets triggered at a time unless he's in a corner. Wait, that one? Okay, that's fine. Yep. Alright, so that's good. Also, we can go over to the door now, and you should be able to kind of walk into the door a bit, because we cut out a little bit of the door, if you remember. Okay, so that's good. So the only other thing I wanted to do really before we ended this video was to kind of add in this little aesthetic thing to the game, because right now, I don't know if you've realised, but when we go over to the left of the screen, or the very right of the screen, the background moves quite far, and we can see a lot of black over here, which if you play the actual Undertale game, that doesn't happen. The background kind of stops and Frisk moves instead of the background moving. And the same, we're going to the right, there's a lot of black area here, which we don't really need there to be. You don't need to do this if you don't want to. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of a, yeah, like I say, an aesthetic thing. But what we're basically going to want to do is once we're like over here, like the background's kind of near the edge like this, we want to move Frisk instead of the background. So it will give a nice kind of a better feel to the game, really, and that's all. If you're not that fussed about that, then you can skip the rest of this tutorial, because that's what we're going to do for now. But yeah, I just thought I'd add that in now. So the first thing you'll want to do is actually clean this up a bit. There we go. So we can see a bit better. So what we're going to get is we're going to have to like test some things out. So we're going to need an and we're also going to need one of these things, like less than. And we're also going to need sensing and the exposition of which one is it? Ruins 1. And for this, you're going to want to put in 120. Now, I've kind of worked this out with a lot of trial and error. So I'll just kind of do it first and explain why it works at the end. I think that's the best way of doing it. So this needs to be less than the 120, I think. So we'll put that in right now. We might have to switch it later on. Actually, for right now, we'll just do that. And you're going to need an if and an else. Where is it? If here. So if the exposition of Ruins 1 is less than 120, then we are going to move the background. So what you want to do is go into your left. Let me just think about this for 1 second. Yeah, this is going to work, I think. Okay, so you want to take this out right here. So under the left arrow, find the change scroll X bit, take that out, put that in there, and then put this whole thing into under the if left collision bit, and then clean it up as well. And then we want to go into motion and just put in change X by speed right here times -1. And I will explain this in a minute. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to make sure this is working. All right, yeah, that is working. That's good. So as you can see now, it's not fully done yet, but when we go to the left, Frisk starts walking to the left instead of the background moving, which is good. But he doesn't actually move back to the right, which we'll fix right now. So now what you're going to want to do is duplicate all of this. And we're going to change it to be -120. And this needs to be, this is for the right arrow now, what we're doing now. We can take that out, put that in there, make sure you're under the right arrow, and this will just be speed, like that. Put that back in there. I may have missed something actually. I think this might need to be reversed. I'm sort of just making this up as I go along a little bit, but this should be right. Yeah, that is right. Okay. So what I would do if I were you is just copy the scripts for right now. Yeah, that's working well. Okay. Now the only other thing we need to do is use this and thing. So if you just copy all of that, I'll explain it in a minute. Okay, so now what we're going to need is another one of these, like the greater than thing, and we're going to need to get the X position, and this will be 0. And I can't quite remember which one it is. We're just going to use trial and error for right now. So if you get this, this whole like X position is less than 120, get that, drag that out, put that into here, and then drag that whole thing back into there. And yeah, that should be good, I think. Yep. And then we'll duplicate that, take out this, get rid of that, change reverse the sign of this. Oh, by the way, the projects will be available in the description to download if you want to just download them. If this is quite hard to copy, because yeah, all these little symbols, all these little greater than signs and stuff are a little bit hard to follow, I think. But yeah, that should be right, I think. And yeah, that looks like it's working. Okay, that's good. So now what we've basically done is the background will only move when we're like in the middle of the screen, and Frisk himself will actually move here instead. So we just move around normally. We will do the up and down as well in a minute. In fact, we can do that right now. Yeah, but that's working well. I will explain this in a minute, but if you're not really fussed about the explanation, then you can just kind of skip once I've finished doing this. So now we're going to do the exact same thing, but for the Y. And I just got to remember how to do this. So we're going to need to change this to Y position first of all. And change this to Y position, and change this to if I remember rightly, -90. Then change scroll Y and change this to change Y. And hopefully that should work. If it doesn't work, I'm just gonna like pause the recording, get my thoughts together again, but I think this should work. So we can take that out, put that back in there. Yeah, like I said, the project will be available in the description if you're having a hard time following exactly where all the scripts go. So we're gonna duplicate this and change this to the other one, and change this to the other one, and make this +90, and then change this to, just swap these ones around basically, like that, and then take that out and put that in there, and hopefully fingers crossed that will help, that will work. If it doesn't, I'm going to pause the recording. I think that's working. It's a little bit harder to check with the Y because we don't have as much Y space to work with really, but I think that's working, yeah. Yeah, I don't think what we can do actually is, for right now, just in the bottom and top we can just make these 0 for right now, just as a testing thing. Yeah, that's working. Okay, cool. At least I think it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. Right, cool. Now we can just tidy up stuff. So we can set this back to 1. And we can hide these sensors as well, because they're still visible. And so yeah, that's just kind of an aesthetic change. If you don't really care about that, then you don't really need to bother, because it's, I don't know, it is a bit finicky to try and work out all this stuff that's going on. But yeah, that is working well. And we've got all the collisions working now as well, which is good. We can also hide those. And yeah, so now we've got collisions. We can't go through anything anymore, which is great. And we've added that slight aesthetic thing. You know, in as well. So I will explain that now. If you're not like interested in the explanation, then you can skip the rest of this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which should be out soonish. I'm gonna try and make the next part soon, but yeah, we can clean that up as well. But yeah, if you want to stick around with the explanation, that's fine. I'll try my best to explain it. It's a little bit weird, but anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, so the way this works, I'll try my best to explain this, but the way this works is, for the left one we'll start with, the way Scratch's coordinate system works is the 0, 0, like x0, y0 is right in the center of the screen. You can find it around, if you watch the X and Y right here, it's around here somewhere. And the kind of viewport width and height of the game window, I guess, if you look at the X at the right of the screen, it goes to 240 right there, and minus 240 on the other side. And for the Y, it's 180 and minus 180. So that means the viewport width is 480 pixels, and the viewport height is 360 pixels. So when we say 120, 120 is halfway along here. It's like it's halfway between the center of the screen and the edge of the screen, so it's right here. So what we mean by that, so the background's only going to move when the X position of Ruins 1 is less than 120. The X position of Ruins 1 is in the middle. If we look at the costume here, it measures the X position from right in the middle, which is around here. If I get better, I don't know, yeah. It's around in the middle. That's where they measure it from. That's just how Scratch works. And so when we're saying the X position is less than 120, that means that the background is kind of over a little bit. Wow, I did not, okay. It means it's kind of something like that, for example. I'll just make sure I didn't mess anything up, okay. Yeah, so it means it's kind of over here somewhere. Its X position is less than 120. 120 is about here, its X position is like about here. So in this case, when we press left in this position, then the background should move because it's still got more background available to go to the right. The reason we have this X position is less than 0 is just because basically when Frisk, because we're moving Frisk as X right here using this, we need to have a check to make sure we're not moving the background when Frisk is like over on the right, for example. If he's moved to the right and he's over here, then his X position is going to be a lot more than 0. So in that case, we want to move him back to the middle, and then once he's in the middle, or his X position is less than 0, then we start moving the background instead again, if that makes sense. It's the same for the right, really. It's just kind of the opposite way around. We only want to move the background when the X position of Ruins 1 is like more than minus 120. So say it's like minus 120 is about here, so and the X position of Ruins 1 is measured from about here. So in this case, if we moved right, then the background would be moving left until it would get to about here-ish, where its X position would start to be around 120. I'm hoping this kind of makes sense, I don't know. And yeah, again, the X position, that's just to make sure we're not moving the background when Frisk is like right on the left of the screen or something. And it's basically the same for the up and down. It's just we use minus 90 instead because we've got 180 pixels between 0 and the top. So we just divide that by 2 and get 90. And same for minus 90. I hope that makes some sense. If it doesn't, I don't think we really need to worry about it too much. It's more of just kind of an aesthetic thing, like I said. But I hope that kind of clears things up a little bit. But But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this part. I'm sorry again that there's been such a huge gap between part 2 and 3. It was mainly due, to be honest, it's just me half being lazy and half, I don't know, I had to do my A-levels and stuff as well. But yeah, but now I'm on summer holiday and I've still got a bit of time, so I should be able to make some more parts and stuff. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for watching. Part 4 should be out soon, I hope. Hopefully there won't be like a year-long gap between parts 3 and 4 again or whatever, but there shouldn't be. I should be able to get it out fairly soon. But anyway, yeah. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.